Hey guys, I'm Kyle from the drafting room here, where we handle all the garage designs and home solutions for Obsessed Garage. Today we're going to be walking through another garage. It's actually a car barn. It's a pretty big facility that we're working on for our friend and client out in California, Fred. I'm here in Matt's garage today. I've got the E36 behind me. Matt's working on polishing. It's a pretty cool backdrop, I think. So I think let's just jump right into it. I'm going to show you what we've been putting together for Fred in his big garage here in California. It's an interesting build because it's got a bunch of different rooms. It's going to be a multi-purpose type of facility. We've been working on it for a while now, and it's still a long way to go because this is a new build and he's just broken ground and they're starting to pour the foundation and stuff. But Fred reached out very early on because he knew that if he could get in the early part of the process, and we've been working with his builders and his architects and everything, he knew that we would be able to turn this into something really special. So we've been working with Fred for a while now, and we've actually talked to him, and we're going to be going out to California here in probably 12, 15, 18 months, however long it takes to build the place, and actually doing the install and doing a full build, just like we did in the Atlanta garage, like we did for Emmanuel when we did the garage giveaway. So definitely keep tabs on this design and the videos that we're going to be doing on this over the next year and a half. It's going to be a long process. Let me kind of introduce this for you. So this is Fred's car barn. You can see from the title that we've put on here, we've taken all the identifying information off of this, just like with all the other ones. If you haven't seen any of the other videos that we've been doing for the garage walkthroughs, this is our design proposal. So this is one of the main documents that you can expect to receive when you work with us on design. It really just gives you a good visual overview of what the space is going to be and details out all the specific things that we're designing and we're including in the space. So let me head back up here and show you the floor plan. So first we've got just a little 3D view of the outside of the space. We don't usually do that, but because we've done so much work on this specific garage and really worked with Paul, Fred's architect, to refine and make sure that the building is exactly what Fred is looking for and provided our input, it made sense on our side to just build the whole thing out exactly with the specs and everything that the architect is putting in. So that's why we have the outside of the building all kind of rendered out like that. All right, so I've zoomed in on the main floor plan here, and the main garage space, so you can see that there's multiple rooms in this facility, but the main garage space is about 50 by 42, give or take. The actual overall building is 64 by 30, or 64 by 43 is the external dimension. So the inside, is a little bit smaller marginally, but this main room is about, we'll say 49 to 50 by 42. So it's a pretty good size. It's definitely a large space, but it's very purposeful. So you can see that we've got 3 different zones or 3 different areas with lifts for this space and with 3 garage doors. And let me go ahead and jump into the actual design itself. So I've got some cameras set up here, and I'll just pan around a little bit to kind of give you an idea and feel for the space as we kind of intro this and talk about it. So this is the main garage. You can see the 3 big doors. I know we had talked about doing some Rytec doors, but I think that had to be scrapped just because of the building permits for where they are in California, as well as the requirements for height and stuff like that. So you can see we've got 3 long bays, and the general idea is that these front bays, so as you pull in, Fred's dailies will be, kind of parked here in the front area. But that still provides a lot of room in the rest of the garage to have lifts and have ongoing projects in there as well. So this left side where we've got this speedster, where we've got this spider is going to be primarily the detailing area. So this cabinet array that we have there is going to be really focused on detailing and polishing and stuff like that. Final wipe downs and drying aid and whatnot. The center area is going to be really the hardcore, so the center area is going to be more of a maintenance spot. It's going to be where he can pull his truck on. You'll notice from the floor plan that we gave a little bit extra room for this lift, so that if he pulls, his F-250 or F-350 or any of his older trucks onto this middle lift, he'll have plenty of space in front where the cabinets are. But this will be the main tool-focused area. The area on the right, that's really going to be long-term projects. So maybe he's doing a full rebuild of one of his old 1950s trucks, or a sports car or something like that, old Porsche. That'll be where that sits, and it'll be maybe on that for a long period of time. Again, maintenance stuff in the middle, detailing on the left. So we've been very particular about the cabinets that we've chosen, how we've done 3 separate arrays. Traditionally, we wouldn't like to break them up, with these doorways, but because of the multi-purpose space, the multi-use type of space that he's trying to do with this, it made sense to be able to have those doors. So we'll get into where those doors go here in a minute, but you can see the nice high vaulted ceiling in the middle. We probably will have to redo some of the lighting a little bit because HVAC is having to be changed. So we'll be adjusting the lighting to account for that. But the lighting plan and the scheme that we came up with for Fred was really 2 completely different systems. Because he has a multi-use idea for this space, one is for cars, car storage, car maintenance, detailing, stuff like that, to use it as a garage. The other use is going to be as a party space, to be able to host events and that sort of thing, have family movie nights, all of that. So because of the different color temperatures with lighting, depending on what we choose and what works best for which environment, it kind of made just more sense to go with 2 totally separate lighting schemes. And Fred was on board with that and wanted to pursue that. So we did LS fixtures throughout. That's the long linear lights that you see in the lower and higher areas. And those are going to be at 5,000 Kelvin. And then all of the can lights, all of the recessed down lights are going to be 4,000 Kelvin. So they're going to be a little bit warmer. And that'll be better for when he's wanting to create that ambiance for, having a dinner or a party, or movie night or whatnot. So we went pretty far with the lighting for this garage, more so than we have in the past with other garages. So it's going to be pretty cool. You can see some of the artwork up there. We've got some wall wash spotlights up here that will paint light onto these areas if he wants to do some artwork and that sort of thing. So the lighting is going to be pretty cool in here, but let's not go too far deep into this. Again, I'm just trying to intro this garage. We'll really dive into the lighting maybe in another video just all by itself and talk about that and the zoning and the things that we set up for that. One thing to think about as we're showing these videos and you guys are looking forward to more videos that we're going to be producing on these garage walkthroughs, and especially with Fred's garage, because we're going to be building this out for him and actually traveling to California and going through this whole process in 12 to 18 months when it actually comes time to install. Think about the things and the concepts that I'm talking about to see what you can pull from that's going to help with your own space. You can, of course, work with us on your garage. I would love for you to reach out to us, and we can help you with your space and help you figure out all of these, all the intricacies of what you need to pay attention to with the design. Or if you just want some ideas or run a question by us, you can reach out, of course, design@obsessedgarage.com, and we'll answer whatever questions you have. But hopefully you'll be able to pull out of these videos what will help you for your own space. As you see, as we get into this video further with we've got 2 pressure washer systems. We've got some funky lighting in the wash bay. Some different things that maybe you haven't thought of, or maybe you weren't sure how to implement. Hopefully you'll be able to have a clearer idea of what you could do in your own space if you're just trying to do it yourself. So this is the main space. I think you got the idea for that. So let's jump into, I'm just going to zoom on over here into the kitchen area. So through that door on the right, when you're looking at those 3 cabinet arrays and you have the door on the right side, that's this one right here, and it leads into a kitchen. So because he wants to be able to have a cool hangout space, he also wants to have a food prep area. So we're gonna have a full kitchen in here with storage and cooking and the whole deal. It's gonna be pretty nice. We did some lighting in here as well. These are just generic cabinets. It's just a placeholder. We're not designing the interior kitchen like we are with outdoor kitchens yet. So we'll pretty much leave that up to them, but we had that stuff as just a placeholder. And here we're going to be doing tile instead of Swiss tracks like the other areas. This little room where the compressor is going to be like part storage. And just kind of general storage. So that'll be cool. There's a bathroom back in there as well. And then upstairs is Fred's office. So up here, it's going to be pretty cool. Little office, very similar to the Atlanta garage where, it's going to overlook the rest of the space, which is going to be really cool. And you can look down and see the cars and view the party and look at the art on the walls and stuff like that. So this is going to be a really cool spot, I think. I'm sure he'll have, an RGB keyboard just like this one. I'm just kidding. But anyway, so that's pretty much what we have as an intro. So the meat and potatoes of this video is really going to be the wash bay. If you're in the main space, it's going to be through this left door. We'll talk about colors maybe in another video, maybe if we do like a cabinet focused video, because as you can see, this is a big departure from typical grays and whites and blacks and stuff that we normally do. So we'll talk about that and talk a little bit about the cabinets in here though as we go into the wash bay. So let me show you, before we talk about the specifics of all of the things in the wash bay, let's look at the size. And you'll notice that it's kind of a weird size for a wash bay, because if I measure from the front of the garage to the back, it's only 15 and a half feet. And the reason for that is, we're not going to be able to fit a car in there. So how the heck is this a wash bay? Well, outside, he's going to have a covered area, either built at the same time, or maybe that's going to be a phase 2 type of thing for this building. But there's going to be a covered lean-to, basically, for the rest of this space that's going to be taking up that entire side that faces, I believe, towards his house. So the idea is that you're going to pull a car in here, and it's going to be sticking out 30% or 50%, halfway or something like that, and not be all the way into the wash area, the wash bay. But that'll be okay. We're using the space that we have to provide a wash bay that otherwise wouldn't be there when we're constrained on space. But since it's going to be covered, that area outside, I think it's going to work out pretty well. And this really provides a nice closed off area to hold all of the detailing supplies. Let me refresh my lights here. One of the other interesting things, we've gone through several revisions and design changes in this space, but you'll notice there's 2 pressure washers. The thought process for this, and this is really from Fred specifically, his request is he wanted redundancy, so that if someone is washing in this bay, say he's washing in here and his son is over visiting and has his vehicle there, he wants to be able to have the option that if someone else has a vehicle parked out underneath that lean-to down the side of the building, that you could both wash at the same time. So, which I think is pretty cool because, us guys here at OG, we will, me and Tommy and Sean and Bryce and whoever, we'll get together and have a wash party, at one of our houses, and we'll break out the pressure washer and wash the cars and stuff. Well, if you only have one pressure washer, you're really only washing one car at a time, and if it's going to take a couple hours, well, you're going to be there all day washing everybody's cars when you're just trying to hang out for an afternoon or something. So if you can have 2, be able to go at the same time, well, why not? So that's really the thought process behind that. Also does provide redundancy if case, something breaks on one for some reason, some anomaly happens, you'll still have the other one to be able to use. So I think it'll be pretty cool. The other option that he talked about and that we're going to spec out is that with this one as you enter, it's going to be on the right side. We're going to set that up and future-proof it for a boom pole. We pursued doing a boom pole inside, but it just didn't work because of the space. And originally we were going to do Rytec doors, but we don't have the ceiling height to really be able to fit a Rytec door to do the roll-up style. So it would have had to have been the Rytec door that goes up and follows a more traditional style track, and it just didn't make sense to do a boom pole in here when it wouldn't really be able to be centered over the vehicle because of the garage door. You're not going to be able to pull in and close the garage door, so having a boom pole up above or something doesn't really make sense because then you're just not going to be able to use it because the garage door is going to have to be open at all times when you're using the space. So we ended up ditching that idea, which will be fun. You guys have probably used the OG hose that we have now or the Cobra Jet, and it's a great experience. It's a fantastic hose. Even if you're just dragging it along the ground and you don't have a boom pole, it's still really good. So he was okay with doing that. However, we will future-proof it, like I said, for possibly doing a boom pole in the covered area outside eventually. So let me show you the layout. So here's the wash bay here. That lean-to, that covered area, will basically take up a section like this. So picture, if you would, having a car parked sideways, like right here, or maybe over here a little bit more, where now you have an outdoor but covered area where you can wash, and that boom pole could be, over on this side, maybe centered up with these doors and lifts. I didn't really touch on that earlier. You saw in the video or the 3D image that these are sliding glass doors that pass through the entire structure, which is really cool. So that might be a good central location. Maybe the boom pole goes right there. So we'll future-proof this to where we'll plan for conduit being in the wall, spitting out this way, and going to wherever it needs to for a future boom pole. Probably right now we'll just have it in the wall, go out to the edge here and stop, and then they'll be able to connect and do whatever they need to when that gets built. So that'll be pretty cool to be able to have, you know, 2 pressure washers going congruently and have one of them be on a boom pole. So you'll still have that experience without having to drag a hose around for both. The other thing we only did 1 bucket filler in here, so that's going to be over here on the left side. So we'll do a bucket filler here. Rather than doing shelving, which you've probably seen us do in a lot of the different garages, you know, we'll do the pressure washer, we'll do a bucket filler, and then a couple shelves above that. Very similar to the Helen project. What we decided to do was a tambour door. So we're gonna do the tambour door cabinets. Fred's going a little crazy, and he's going to custom paint them. He's got a body shop guy who does really good paint work, and he's going to paint them Lista green to match the Lista cabinets that we're doing. I'll touch on that real quick. We don't currently sell Lista, at least on our site. If you want Lista cabinets, reach out, we can hook you up. But like the MSS Plus that's right here, it's got, you know, Sonic on every single cabinet. Well, if you don't like that, what do? There's not really a good, you know, non-logoed cabinet that's the same level as Sonic MSS Plus. Well, that's kind of where Lista comes in. Lista is going to be our industrial, very, you know, no frills, super heavy duty, you know, just industrial cabinet option that doesn't have any logos, or at least has a removable logo if you wanted to be, you know, basically debadge. That's really the direction that Fred wanted to go, and which spurred us to then really kindling that relationship we used to have with Lista. Now we're back on board and we've been figuring that out. I think I've done some videos for Inside the Hex on our process and everything that we've been going through to get them on board and to get that product line figured out. Lista green, he's gonna be painting his Sonic cabinets to match Lista. So we're doing one on this side and then an opposing one on the other side. So these sides really do mirror each other except for the bucket filler. Which, now that I think about it, you know, on the fly here, I may suggest that we put a bucket filler over there so that if you're washing a car outside, you know, underneath the cover down there, it might make sense that maybe a bucket filler goes over here as well, so that way you don't have to cross over and go around the car to get to the other one on this back, you know, this wall over here. And you could just go for it right there. So maybe that's something we'll talk about. There's going to be a lot going on in this wall with plumbing and air and electrical and stuff. So maybe, you know, we'll have to see if we can get that included in there. We'll talk about air here in a minute. You'll notice that there's no air reels throughout this entire complex. This is the cabinet array, and this is going to be all detailing focused. Let me take a look at the setup from here. I'm going to have to do some thinking about this because I think we had to change this door, and originally we didn't have room for another cabinet. And the more I look at this, we definitely do. So maybe we'll do, this is supposed to be a waste bin cabinet. That's the nice thing about Lista, is they've got, you know, 1,000 different sizes, not really, but a bunch of different sizes that we can do. So I think we can expand this a little bit more probably. We'll talk about that in a little bit more depth. Maybe as we do another video that's really dedicated to talk about the Lista product, as well as the cabinets that we're doing in Fred's garage. But real quickly though, this one is just meant to be basic detailing supplies. This is more the wash focused stuff. So remember, we have the other bay that's over on the other side of this wall that is really for all the detailing, so the finish work, final wipe downs, polishing, and that sort of thing. Whereas inside the wash bay, this is really just focused on washing. So we've got a few drawers, we've got mostly upper cabinets, we've got a nice sink, and then we've got this is going to be a waste bin. It doesn't really look like one right now, but that's what that's going to be. And then we've got our Lista, or our Sonic tambour doors that will hold like spray bottles, press-all, stuff like that. One thing that I don't think we talked about, so you'll notice that we chose green piping for the airlines for Fred. All the piping that Prevost makes, whether it's the blue that we always use, which is made for air, the gray, which is made for vacuum lines, not a debris vacuum line, but like air extraction from like industrial uses and stuff like that. And then they have the green, which is supposed to be for nitrogen. It doesn't really matter. You can use whatever you want. They specify the colors for certain things because of industry standards and stuff like that. But in our environment, in the garage, it doesn't really matter. And you can use whatever you want. It's all the same pipe. So it's all aluminum, really high quality pipe. On the topic of color, the pressure washer system is primarily going to be blue. We've got the blue CR spotless, we've got the blue hose, we'll have the blue jumper hose. We're going to be going with Krenzlas, the 1322s, that'll have a blue shroud. I don't think it makes sense to do blue piping for that, or the green piping rather, sorry. I think we'll stick with blue for that. It makes sense because it's water, you can see how detailed our CAD files are getting now. I mean, we've almost got like we've got a product label on there. You can see all the pieces and the parts of the hose reel, which is really super cool. Sean's put in a lot of time getting all of this, sourced from our vendors and making sure that everything is accurate. Certain things we don't quite have yet, like a Krenzla. We don't have a Krenzla. Typical Germans that don't want to share their, crazy engineering and stuff, which I understand. They're just like, oh, here you go, here's our pressure washer. So, we could reverse engineer it and go build our own if we wanted, but we're still waiting on a Krenzla, unfortunately. So Prevost gave us their files. So we've even got, let's see if I can zoom in without breaking it, but you can actually see some of the product designations on there for size and stuff like that, which is really cool. So yeah, this has gotten pretty intense as far as the CAD files, the 3D files that we're using. Let's talk about air real quickly. Fred didn't really want to do a bunch of hose reels all over the place. So you'll notice throughout most of the building that there's just these air drops where we're doing air coming out from the other room, drops down after a 90, and we have just an access place for plugging in a spiral hose. It'll be kept in the cabinet or whatever. This is kind of a trend that we've been seeing, in that if you do have a big place and you're wanting to do this elaborate network of air to be able to have access wherever you want, you still need a pretty good sized compressor. But the way that people are using compressors is changing, it seems like, and we're not doing as much of power tools or air tools and polishers and stuff like that. And it's a lot of blowing out interiors, blowing out pads, filling tires. But we're also seeing this other shift where people are getting into the ICS dry ice machines, and for those you still need even a bigger compressor than the Silver 3 that has been very popular from Fiat. Fred wanted to be able to have that air distribution all throughout the shop, but didn't want to have to deal with hose reels on the walls and all over the place. So he wanted to just do the drops that come down to an access port, manifold where he can just plug a hose right in and just keep the hose put away, which I'm totally for. It keeps everything super clean, and I think it'll work just fine for the little bit that he's going to be using it. Again, he wanted to be able to have access everywhere, but realistically, he's not going to be using it all the time. So it didn't make sense to just throw hose reels all over the place, because we had a lot in the design when we first started. The other aspect of this wash bay that was very unique and took a lot of consideration and thought is the lighting, because you'll notice that there's a light on the wall right here. There's another one on the other side. Let me do a fresh camera so we can get a good rotation here. So you'll notice this light that we have on the wall, and then on the other side as well. And then we've got, these multiple ceiling heights to deal with and stuff. So because this space is not really large enough to hold a car, we had to figure out how to handle the lighting. Fortunately, he's going to have glass garage doors, so that will help, so that this light that's right here in the front, that will still shine through. Not as well as if that door wasn't there, but well enough. And then we had to do some funky spacing with the other lights. So this one I would have normally brought into the middle of the room a little bit more, but we didn't want it to cause any weird shadows when this door is open. So we pushed it all the way to this edge, or a lot further anyway, so that it's pretty centered between the end of the garage door and then this ledge right here, which is actually this is an exterior wall that goes all the way up. Our texture file that's on it's a little funky because of the exterior, but this will match and probably be tile like the rest of the room. And then we have this light here that's a little funky because of that ceiling height that changes here. The other side of this upstairs is the office. So it's just something that we had to deal with and get a little creative. So when this garage door is up and you're washing in here, it's gonna be causing a lot of shadows. So we needed to be able to get more light into the space. And that's where these lights on the side came in. So this is gonna be just a regular LS8, the high lumen output, the 12,000 lumen output. And it's just going to be on the wall like this. You can just mount it right to the wall. We'll probably have to run some conduit, or because they're building this, they can plan for that and have the electrical exactly where we specify. So we don't have to have, conduit lines. But I mean, you could add this, to your garage if you wanted. The lighting is a little weird in here. It's a little funky, but it's very functional. And it's going to provide us with as little shadowing as possible. We're really lighting all the sides. So it'll be a very functional aspect of this space, even with how small it is, and really provide a pretty awesome wash experience, I think. It'll be very unique, pulling halfway into this space and having a dedicated spot for this is going to be really cool. One of the things that we included in here with the lighting, because we're going to be doing Radio Raw 2 Select from Lutron throughout the entire build. It'll all be able to be accessed app-based, as well as switches and stuff like that with Picos. We did an occupancy sensor in this space so that when you enter, the lights will come on. We could also set it up to where if you've been out of the room for a certain amount of time, the lights will go off. So theoretically, you wouldn't even have to touch the light switch, which is pretty cool. My under cabinet lighting was too low. So let's go to 50, 46, 56. See if that brings us down to a visual point. Yep, there we go. Okay, I got the under cabinet lighting to show back again. So we'll have some under cabinet lighting underneath the Lista uppers. These are the tall versions. This is not an exact render right now. We do have actual files from Lista. Probably in one of the next videos on Fred's Garage, when we talk about the cabinets, we'll make sure that that's updated with all of the current 3D files and the CAD files and everything for the Lista cabinets. You'll be able to see all the really cool detail that goes into that. One thing to think about though with a sink, maybe for your own garage, like say you were doing the Sabre cabinets. Sabre doesn't have a sink cabinet. Well, you don't have to be constrained to finding some other kind of sink if you really want to have a sink in your wash bay or garage. if you're going with a cabinet that doesn't have a sink, just get one of the doored cabinets. So whether it's a single door, double door, and you can modify it and just make your own sink. So that's kind of how Sonic does it. Sonic will take a double door cabinet here in the US that comes over from overseas, and they'll have their fab shop actually cut the top of the cabinet, cut the back of the cabinet out, drop in a sink, put the countertop on there, and basically just fabricate it up. So if you have the ability to do that or have someone that can do that for you, don't be shy about doing that. Grab a double door cabinet from, if you're doing not Lista, but, Sabre, and you can make your own sink. There's no reason why you can't do that. So it's not something that we've done yet, but I think it would be really cool to see that maybe in a future project where we actually do that for one of our own builds. All right, so last thing before we close this out, this of course has been very focused on just introing Fred's garage, his car barn and what he's going to be doing with it, as well as really focusing on the wash bay. The other aspect that I wanted to talk about with this build real quick is the technical drawing. So you guys know that we do a design proposal, and then we go through several iterations of that with a client. And then once we're at a good place to where, okay, hey, we're settled on this design, then we work up a design, or then we work up a technical drawing. The technical drawing that we've done for Fred's garage is probably the most intense that we've done so far, because we've been working directly with his architect, and they're wanting to use our plans in their plan set. And be able to present those. So we've been updating certain things with the information that they provide. Hey, we need to include this. We need to include outlets for this or whatever. So we've been happy to include that because of the scale of this project and how much we're working on Fred with this. This page in particular, so this is page 7 of the technical drawings, and it's the lighting plan. I just wanted to show you real quick just because of how crazy this is. So we have all of this, which you probably can't read right now because it's so small, are all of the call outs for everything in this diagram for the floor plan. And we can really zoom in on all of these individual parts. And because it's all from a CAD file, there's a lot of detail in here that we have really gotten into. These are all the picos that are in the wash bay. We've got that motion sensor, the occupancy sensor that I talked about. And we're really defining exactly where all of these things are going. Fred's is going to be a little bit different in that there's going to be a centralized location for all of the POW packs. So they're going to be back in this corner underneath the stairs. So we've really detailed out exactly what all the zones are and where that's going. And you can see the schedule of all of the fixtures and all of the products and where everything is in here. And we've included some notes and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool to see how far we've come based, versus what we used to do, what I used to just send, via screenshots and stuff like that. So it's really cool to have this. It's really cool to see it in action. And we'll get into this in more detail. We'll be doing more videos on Fred's garage and really diving into the intricacies of color choice and the cabinet arrays, and maybe we'll really talk about the list of cabinets and the lift placement. That was a big consideration that we really talked about a lot and detailed out with Fred. Audio is a big thing that we're doing in this spot. Lighting, we'll probably have a whole video dedicated just to lighting on this. And maybe we'll get Fred on, a Zoom call or something like that, and go into it with him. He's a funny guy. I think it'd be really cool for you to see, how we interact and talk about the design and the things that we've detailed out, and what we've scrapped and what we've changed. Hopefully it'll help you in your design, or help you realize that, hey, I need to work with Obsessed Garage to get my garage really dialed in, well, we're here for that. We can go really far into it and take it really to the next level. If you have any questions, reach out to us, design@obsessedgarage.com. Me or Nathan or Sean or Ed will be able to help you out and answer any questions that you're going to have. If you want to get started with your garage, go to the garage design page on obsessedgarage.com. Go all the way down to the bottom. Of course, read that page. There's a lot of good information on there. But purchase the garage design deposit. That'll help you get into the queue. We'll send you an email to be able to collect, all of the information that we need from you. And then we'll start working together, and we can really dial in your space and make it as awesome as Fred's, or maybe even better, who knows. So hopefully, again, you guys liked the video. Be on the lookout for more videos like this on other garages, as well as more specifically on Fred's as we go through this process and gear up for the actual install coming in the next year and a half.